do have skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
That's great seeing so many people voting.
You know, I came here last week and I asked the blonde lady at the end there, I asked her a real simple question and she got absolutely rude and ignored me, and all I asked her was, can you tell me where the obligation to register to vote is?
Where the obligation to register is? Oh, right.
There is none.
Well, there isn't one,
No, it's your belief that you have to. No, it's a voluntary society.
Yeah.
And she got really
like
shitty
Australia.
with me. Yeah. Excuse me. I've been having debates with people over the dinner table about the obligation to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I find the obligation?
You don't have to vote, but you have to be enrolled.
What I mean is, registered.
Yeah, registered.
The obligation to register.
You have to be. It's technically illegal to not be on the roll. You have to be. It's technically illegal to not be on the roll.
Yeah.
It's a $200 fine.
I thought it was $1,000 and 3 months imprisonment, but must have
No,
changed.
it's actually only $100 for the first offence and $200 for the second.
Okay, so where's the legal obligation to register?
Vote.
To register.
I think I just said that.
Yeah, but where do I find it? What legislative act?
Well, I've certainly got it written down on things here.
Yeah.
All of these, any piece of paper here will have that written on it.
The reason I ask is because back in, I think it was 2012.
I'm not a lawyer. I can't get into a big debate about it with you and prove anything to you.
But to say something's legal, you must have legal training. Otherwise, if you're saying something's illegal without knowing the law that substantiates well, then you can't know if it's legal or not.
You must enrol.
Yeah.
This word, like the word shall, is primarily of mandatory effect. In that sense is used in the antithesis to may. Therefore it's the opposite of may. This meaning of the word is not the only one, and is often used in a merely directory sense, and consequently is a synonym for the word may, not only in the permissive sense of that word, but also in the mandatory sense, which it sometimes has.
Are you aware that must means may or may not in a directional sense?
I think you're taking something out on me which is entirely inappropriate, and I'm not a lawyer. Okay, so
I've only asked you for the obligation.
I don't even know why you're asking me to explain plain English.
It's not
really
English.
It's not English?
No,
That's
it's
in
legal.
English.
If anything's written in legislature, it's legalese. It's not English.
Hello, can I help you?
Thank you.
See you.
205,153 people were not enrolled as at election day 2011. To the best of our knowledge, no one was prosecuted. I'll repeat that, okay, for those people listening, just to go with that coercion of the chick at Pak'n'Save. To the best of our knowledge, and this is the Electoral Commission here, no one was prosecuted for not being enrolled to vote.
And she got really
like
shitty
Australia.
with me. Yeah, exactly. And I said to her, because I asked the Electoral Commission 4 years ago, I told them last election I'd be happy to register to vote if you could show me where the obligation to do so is. They never got back to me. Silence is acquiescence. There isn't any.
Well, there
That's
isn't.
how it works.
No.
There isn't any.
Well, there
That's
isn't.
how it works.
No. It's just a personal. Do you not believe in voting?
It's a selection, it's not an election. You know, so they're selected. It doesn't really matter. But, I mean, and this is what I did after last Wednesday. I put it all online too, because she's all up on YouTube. But the thing that really amazed me was I went online afterwards and I decided to just Google search that question. And there was a guy called Liam Stoneley in 2014 asked that very question. How many people weren't on the electoral roll at the time of the election, and how many were prosecuted for not registering? Because under section, it's the Electoral Act 1982, section 82, 7A and 7B, where you are, every person who is a resident is obligated.
Oh yeah, you are obligated
If you're a
to
citizen.
be enrolled, but you're not obliged to vote.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Where's the obligation to be
Oh
enrolled?
yeah, that
And there
never
isn't.
comes up.
And it states that every person, right? Now you've got to ask yourself, in legal terms, what's the word person?
Yeah, it's that babies,
No.
migrants.
A person is defined five different ways legally. I've studied law for 4 or 5 years. I've got the legal dictionaries at home, so I look all this up. A person is defined as a body corporate, unincorporated body, or corporation sole, or natural or legal person. Which one of those? You look like a woman to me. So it's whether or not you step into your name. It's all about your legal person,
it's all
your
that,
capitalised name.
What's that thing about the
strawman, maritime law versus common law versus admiralty law.
It's all fascinating, that stuff. I get a bit confused trying to figure it all out.
You just got to start from it's all how the whole
Is it about
system
whether you
works.
write your name in capital letters?
Yeah, that's called capitis diminutio maxima media or minima.
Oh, no wonder I can't remember it all.
That's just the different representations that a man or woman can be within a society. So then you ask yourself the question, well, do you live in New Zealand or do you live on it?
Right, yeah.
Smallest words are the most defining.
I can see why you got into law then.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
where
people ask you.
words are so crucial.
Exactly. Well, the words are stolen and then they're redefined. That's what I say. I'm not a lawyer because they're not legally trained to understand the language, which is what I was getting at with her. She was busy telling me you must enrol in the leaflets there, and I said, well, do you realise the word must means may or may not, legally speaking? In a directional sense, the word must is a synonym to the word may. So it's not means you have to.
Yeah.
And see, they've changed the meaning of the words.
Yeah, I mean, when you really delve into it, everything's quite meaningless.
Yeah, which is why I asked them all these, because you can ask as many
Yeah.
questions. He who asks the questions is the master, the one who answers is the servant. They're all public servants.
But you can't really blame them for getting
No.
confused. I mean,
Ignorance is bliss.
that's defensiveness because she doesn't really understand the question.
I knew what I expected that result, but I didn't expect the offence and the ignore me and
you should think that in their
I sent
training,
it to the Electoral Commission.
whatever anyone says, they have to smile and.
That's what I said to I sent it to the Electoral Commission and I said, can you please make sure your staff are trained? Anyway, the answer to how many people weren't on the electoral roll in 2014? 205,153 people were not registered as voters in New Zealand. That's 5% of the entire population wasn't even registered. And how many were prosecuted? 0.
Oh yeah, well it's in this
because you only get a $100 fine.
It's
It's not feasible for them to go prosecuting every person who doesn't register because you only get a $100 fine or up to $200 for recurring.
well, that
So there's no money in it.
everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
So
unenforceable.
many things,
So the whole
like-
threat that you'll get fined or imprisoned for not registering
It's meaningless.
is meaningless because it's an unenforceable thing.
Corporations and
So
all
it's the
sorts
whole
of
trick.
people.
So that's
Openly
why I don't.
break
I'm
laws all the
self-governing.
time,
You know,
don't
I
they?
do whatever I do morally and ethically correct. You know, I know the difference between right and wrong. I don't
Yeah.
care about legal. I
Me
try to
too.
do
I've got
1,000
my
illegal
own
things
set
each
of-
week.
Yeah, I've got my own commandments, whatever.
Yeah, well, yes, some people will go through a religion which requires a belief
Yeah, well, I
system.
don't.
That's all
but
government
I've
is.
got my own set of
Yeah,
rules.
of course, there's people
I
out there
decide
still believing the
whether
earth
things
is
are
flat,
right
you
or
know.
wrong,
But
yeah.
if you're biblical, look at Psalms 19:1. You know, it's a firmament above us. There's no round earth. It's all a flat, motionless plane. Yeah, that's a real freaky subject to go looking up. You go Google flat Earth. It's mind blowing.
Oh God, there's so
Absolutely
many,
mind-blowing.
I mean, you look at what do you call it? What do you call those?
Conspiracy theories.
What would you call
Chemtrails, geoengineering, climate
I've
control.
got friends who try and get me to like delve into all
I've
of
been
that.
down the rabbit hole of
And
YouTube and I'm back out.
been there, but it's like, okay.
There isn't anything each person can individually do about it, so why stress?
I just think there's
I
more
get what you
important
mean.
things. I think you can't put your energies into everything. So
That's
you've
what
got
it
to
is,
pick
it's
and
all
choose
diversion, isn't it?
what
Yeah.
you-
Instead of focusing on yourself and making yourself right and keeping happy.
Yeah, that's right. There's
I mean, I look after my family and that's it, and my friends, and the rest of them, well, I can't look after every sheep out there.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the way I look at it. But
Yeah. Oh
anyway,
well.
it's
I
fascinating.
just,
It's fascinating to study if you ever take the chance. But yeah,
law.
yeah, I just got a law dictionary for my Christmas
doing
present.
environmental law.
Yeah, but it's all legislation. It's not law. That's
Yeah,
the trick.
it's
It's legislative
right.
rule of the society.
And you can't actually, it doesn't actually make any difference what the
No.
law says, because the current
It's who enforces
the
it.
current administration and whoever, it's whether they choose to enforce it or not. So
I'm
what's in
challenging.
the law is
I'm challenging an $80 speeding ticket just for shits and giggles at the moment. I've claimed, I went to court for the defended hearing. That's what I'm up to now. Went for the preliminary thing where you stand up and plead guilty, not guilty. Well, I wanted to plead innocent. But that's not an option, because I'm innocent until proven guilty. So you can't plead that. You have to plead guilty or not guilty. So I stood up there and I says, well, can you show me where the subject matter jurisdiction applies? In other words, that your laws apply to me in the first place. He goes, well, you're presumed a subject. I says, no, I'm presumed innocent. You have to establish jurisdiction over me in the first place, such as a driver's license, such as a contract. And the judge got absolutely ropeable with me, threatening me with contempt and having me arrested, all on camera. And I gave Auckland District Court notice a month before going to the hearing in July. I gave them the notice that I would be exercising my right to seek, receive and impart information and opinions of any kind in any form. That's the Bill of Rights, Section 14, which means I could record it. As a party to the proceedings, I also have the right to keep an independent record.
yeah.
And I told them I'd be there with my cameras. But before I even got heard, security was surrounded me, took all of my cameras off me, or at least what they thought was all my cameras, because and they demanded I turned off my phone. Well, they took my phone away, but they set it closer to the judge, and my audio recorder was still on my phone.
You think they'd have learned that one by now, wouldn't
So I sent a complaint to the Judicial Conduct Commissioner against Judge Tim Black for intimidating and threatening me. I nearly had some questions I needed to ask before I could, because the court can't accept an uninformed plea, which means they have to inform you, and you can't do it involuntary. You have to willingly enter a plea. So why would you say, yeah, I'm guilty of that if you don't understand what you're guilty of? And that's all I was doing.
Yeah, totally.
It drives them nuts because they're not used to it.
I'm
They're so
sure
used
it
to
does.
people standing up
most
going
people
guilty.
just do what they're told and think that the people who are got
And
the
that's to me the
clothes on
difference.
know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's to me the difference between self-governing and just doing what everybody else does, you know. I'm the weird sheep that'll go sniffing the fence line.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah,
family
well,
loves
we
it,
need
eh?
people like you who are prepared to
If you don't complain, nothing changes.
take the hard path and bring
Oh,
down
mate, I had Henderson
all
Police
sorts of
Station.
aggro on yourself to make the point.
I've been filming speed cameras
Like
for over 4
Winston
years, right? Look up my channel, CKA Mark OTHO King. I was commonly known as Mark of the House of the King. CKA Mark will find it on YouTube. It's like 1700 videos of me just recording all the cops and the police stops and the speed cameras. And I sat outside Hendo and recorded them. They were doing an 0800 new cops ad in the back of the Hendo cop shop there through the metal fence. So I thought, oh okay, there's a guy with a tripod filming them. No expectation of privacy, and I'm on a public street, so I can film anyway. Next thing you know, I'm surrounded by cops all telling me that's an offence to do it, and it's private property, a police station, and under peeping and peering laws, which has to do with your private residence at night time. Not a cop shop at 10:30 in the morning. I ended up demanding the law back. They couldn't provide it. Filed an IPCA complaint and got the whole station re-educated. And I'm going back, and I went back 6 weeks later to test them, to stand outside again and film them. Nice as pie they were. They had all been re-educated. So that goes to show it works.
Yeah, people need it. They're too lazy. They just accept everything the way it
They
is.
think they know what the words mean on a bit of paper.
Yeah.
We made the words. We should know what they mean, huh?
Yeah,
It's an awesome chat with you. Thank you. Bye.
G'day people. Well, if you've been following the little out and about asking for the obligation to register to vote clip that I put up, and it appears 100 or so people have already watched it and enjoyed it so far, I decided to go to the Electoral Commission and put a little complaint through about the way that lady behaved at Pak'n'Save, and this is what I wrote, and this is to where was this, to inquiries at the Electoral Commission. You can select different options as to what your question or inquiry is about, and my issue type was voting. So I put my message was, "Hi there, while at Pak'n'Save Henderson, I inquired as to the existence of any obligation to register a person as an elector or voter. The woman representing the Electoral Commission was rude and offensive, offered threats and coercion and fines, but failed to supply the information I had inquired about. As since 2012, the Electoral Commission had formed a tacit agreement with us that there is no obligation by responding in silent acquiescence. This woman failed miserably and left myself ignored and insulted. We would suggest to train your representatives properly as to avoid any further insult when asking a simple question. Please explain why this woman found a question as a personal attack and found it necessary to insult and ignore a member of the public and causing alarm and distress to us while embarrassing us in the process within a public place. This was captured and has been imparted in accordance with New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990 Section 14. We require and expect an apology for her rude and unprofessional behaviour while representing the Electoral Commission. You can contact me on 027 531 4470 or via email. You can view this interaction at, and I supply a link to that clip. Warm regards, Mark, without prejudice, all rights reserved." And they responded on the 15th, on the 20th of September, 5 days, that complaint was on the 15th of September, a couple of days afterwards. On the 20th of September, I got a reply back from someone that doesn't like their kids much. This person's name is Electoral Commission, because that's how they've signed it. So it says here, "Hi Mark, thank you for your email. We are sorry to hear you are unhappy with the level of service when you spoke to one of our staff at enrolment stand at Pak'n'Save in Henderson. People who are eligible to enrol are required to register as an elector under Section 82 of the Electoral Act of 1983. Now, if you looked at the previous clip about this, I show you what the Electoral Act of Section 82 actually is. While enrolment is compulsory," now I'll just start this whole sentence again here, is take care of the wording they're using. "People who are eligible to enrol are required to register as an elector under Section 82 of an Electoral Act 1983. While enrolment is compulsory and a person can be fined $100 for failing to do so for a first conviction and $200 for a second or subsequent conviction, the Commission believes that it is much more sensible to put our effort and resources into encouraging people to enrol and vote. Kind regards, Electoral Commission." Wasn't that just delightful? So, I've just sent them a response today back, and this is how it goes. I'm so looking forward to their response to this one. "Hello again. Thank you for your information in response to our questions and complaint. We can appreciate you are sorry to hear about our unhappiness. However, is that the apology for your representative's actions? Please clarify the following. 1. You state, people who are eligible to enrol are required to register as an elector under Section 82 of the Electoral Act 1983 while enrolment is compulsory and a person can be fined $100 for failing to do so for first conviction and $200 for a second or subsequent conviction unquote. We are unable to find where people are mentioned within section 82.7a or section 82.7b, only person. Can you please clarify which type of person you are referring to? A. Corporation sole, see Interpretations Act 1999 section 29. B. Body corporate, see Interpretations Act 1999 section 29. C. Unincorporated body, see Interpretations Act 1999 section 29. D. Legal person, see New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990 section 29. Or E. Natural person, New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990 section 29. To our knowledge, a man or woman is not defined in legalese. Can you provide evidence to the contrary? Each man or woman can only represent themselves through a persona with any society. Are you aware of this? You stated, and 200 for a second or subsequent conviction. This is incorrect, as section 82 states up to $200. We can appreciate the limited resources and how the Commission chooses to use it wisely. We cannot fathom how much waste of resources would be used pursuing prosecutions against the 205,153 unregistered persons from 2011. Due to this, Section 82 appears to be an empty threat to coerce unknowing and unwitting public to conform. Under the Official Information Act 1982, please supply any case law showing where any person has been convicted for knowingly and willingly failing to register as an elector. Furthermore, please supply how many persons were not registered to vote for the 2014 election cycle. You stated registration is compulsory. As compulsory is not defined in our New Zealand Butterworth's Law Dictionary 5th edition, we have gone to our Black's Law Dictionary 6th edition to comprehend the correct legal interpretation of this word. See attached. Now I sent them a little scan of that page. As we do not accept threats, coercion, intimidation and fear as a basis to make decisions, can you tell me how a voluntary action, such as registering one's person to vote, is compulsory? Without consent, namely by registering one's person as a voter, the society one is registering said person with has no authorities to enforce any legislative rule of any society upon any man or woman through said person. Do you comprehend this? Does the New Zealand Government representatives operate through consent? Laws are made by man for protection of person and property. Legislation is made by man to control and govern the mind of the unknowing and unwitting public through fear, threats and coercion. As we offered the Electoral Commission in 2011-2012 a conditional acceptance to willingly and voluntarily register as an elector, provided the obligation to do so could be satisfied to us by them, and none has been provided, a tacit agreement was formed that there is no obligation. In Section 82 of the Section 82 of the Electoral Act 1993, not in contravention of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, Article 20, subsection 2. Now, just in case you want to know what that is, here's the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. There's Article 20, subsection 2, and it says here, no one may be compelled to belong to an association. Well, fuck me. A society is an association, and you can't compel or make compulsory through fear or through force of legislation or by some legal process. And I will drop in a little reading of what compulsory means of the Black's Law Dictionary for you all. And Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, we will look at the word compulsory. Let's have a look at what it says, shall we, people? Okay, and here it is here. Compulsory. An adjective, means involuntary, forced, coerced, by legal process, or by force of statute. Okay? That's what compulsory means legally. So you can't be forced to be part of anything. Unless you think you do, because you don't know any better. I'll move on. Is Section 82 of the Electoral Act not infringing on the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990, Section 14, by using coercion or force by statute? We would appreciate more precise answers by someone who is legally trained to comprehend and answer our questions, and not an untrained or unqualified opinion in response to our legal points of clarification. Notice, all correspondence shall be published to multiple forums for maximum accountability and transparency in accordance with New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990, Section 14. We all know what that is. Notice, failure to respond within 20 days shall be construed that the Electoral Commission cannot clearly define whether a man or woman has any obligation to register any person as an elected voter, and therefore there is no obligation to do so. Notice, we reserve all rights to willingly register should clarification by the Electoral Commission be made available to satisfy our clarifications and questions as to make a fully informed and voluntary action. Warm regards, me. So to tell me something's compulsory means you're going to try and attempt force by statute, coerce, or threaten me to get me to bend my will. Whereas I don't really work that way, and I'm more than happy to accept anybody's claim for value, provided they can provide evidence and facts and logic behind them, proof of obligation or proof of consent. So this is the whole crux of the matter. For the dumbed down people that think they are citizens in countries instead of men and women on earth, you all think you live in things. You live in your body, on the ground. Okay? It's that simple. Now, how someone else or a group of people want to define what that ground is makes no difference to you, because let's not forget now, we're all equal. No one else has a right to impose their will on you, just as you don't have the right to impose your will on them. Now, to stay in honour, all you've got to do is never refuse or deny or reject anything. Be in honour. Accept for value or accept any claim. Just ask for fucking facts. Don't go for a presumption and assumption, which is what the courts and justice system within New Zealand do. It's all presumed. You heard Judge Timmy himself say, you are presumed a subject and therefore the laws of New Zealand apply. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be accepting young Timmy's fucking presumption, and I'll be setting him straight in due course. But, yeah, if he's saying that's what I'm presumed, it would be for him to back that, wouldn't it? Anyway, don't want to go off the beaten path. So, at the end of the day, know how the words are. You know, mankind is governed by belief of words and bits of paper and what those interpretations of those words mean. You control all of your lives. You're worried about getting in trouble. With who? You know, it's really that simple. You can be, I mean, so many people, they want to keep their votes quiet, you know, or who do you vote for? I can't tell you, you know, like, hush hush. And you do have the right to make a completely anonymous vote. But it's only through fear. I mean, if you really supported your so-called political party, wouldn't you jump from the treetops and say, yes, I support this lot? If they're that fucking good, why wouldn't you be happy to shout from the treetops and say, yes, I voted for them, they're brilliant, and back your claims? But you can't. 90% of people just take their best guess. Might as well roll the fucking dice. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who votes. It's a selection. It's predetermined. None of that shit actually matters. And you look back as to what's in the legislation for what they need. They say you don't have to vote. There's a good reason for that, because it doesn't make any fucking difference. But they do say you have to register through that fear and coercion, that compulsory word, that you have to vote. And nothing is further from the truth. Because, again, we're all equal. Who is someone else who's your equal got any higher right to tell you what to do other than you? Does the government tell you when to wipe your ass? When to eat, shit, sleep and die? No. You figure that out yourself. But people want to stand behind a political party, so when the shit hits the fan, everybody goes, oh, it was those bastards. It was you. Everyone who voted, or everyone who registered to vote, are the ones that gave these fucking psychopaths and maniacs that believe they're elected into power, as opposed to elected into office to serve. They believe they're in government to rule. You're in office to serve as a public servant. The public are the one with the power, not the government. They are the administrators of the nation's wealth. They don't own it. They'll give you the guise of some vote to make you think you have your say, but none of it makes a bean of difference at the end of the day. Me, I'll be happy to register if I'm shown an obligation. And even then, I have got many, many questions to ask before that is satisfied to my satisfaction. You see where we're going here. It's a waste of their resources to even interact with me after a while, isn't it? And what does that mean? They leave me alone. I don't believe they can provide me any case law to show that anyone's ever been prosecuted for it. I haven't heard of it. I haven't looked into it too much, but hey, that's what they're for, to ask those questions. So yeah, anyway, have a good day. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'm sure I will keep you posted on part 3. See you later.